And here we go. G'day, everybody, and welcome back to Rolling Conversations this afternoon. This is one we've been really looking forward to. I mean, we look forward to all of these, but what a special member of our community we have on tonight. So, a three-time Paralympian, a five-time member of a World Championship competing team, 17 years with the Australian Gliders. In 2006, named in the World All-Star 5 at a World Championships, a member of the Blues Wheelchair Basketball Club, as I said to begin with, a much-loved member of the Wheelchair Sports New South Wales community. Kylie Gauci, welcome to Rolling Conversations.
Thanks, Mick. Thanks for having me.
We've been really looking forward to having you on, and we know a bunch of people are out there ready to ask their questions and participate, so welcome to everyone watching us online. Kylie, I wanted to ask you about where it started for you with wheelchair basketball. And when we were just coming on, you actually mentioned you were at the 1995 Junior Wheelies Christmas Camp. Is that where it started?
Yeah, absolutely. I went along there and met a whole bunch of people and met Jerry Hewson there, and Kurt was there, and Christy Dawes. There was a whole lot of people there, and that kind of introduced me into everything. And I just jumped in and tried everything that I could, and yeah, the kind of history.
And so we've heard Mrs. T through Mrs. Rolling Conversations mention a few people really mucked up at the Junior Wheelies Christmas Camp. Would you put yourself in that category?
No, I'm a good girl. Come on, Mick.
Okay. I mean, I thought, but it's my job to ask the tough
might
question.
have a different answer, but I hope not.
Well, if you are sitting at home and have a different point of view on Kylie's behaviour at the Junior Wheelies Christmas Camp, please let us know. So, Kylie, that's where it started for you in 1995, and also reading about your history, the Sydney 2000 Olympics seemed like a really pivotal moment for you. It must have been a huge inspiration to go on and achieve what you did in Sydney in 2000.
Yeah, it was, because when I first started, I was doing basketball and wheelchair track and road racing. So I was kind of involved in both sports and was doing, everything. And so to know a lot of people from the two different sports to go along to the Paralympics was huge.
And one of the things that you were talking about just before we came on air, which I thought was lovely, was the Thursday night sessions out at Kevin Vett Stadium and the sort of spirit that existed in those nights. Can you give us a sense of what that was like in the early days?
Yeah, it was huge. Jerry would run a session of like a come and try session. So you'd be on one court with all the juniors going through skills and shooting techniques and all that type of stuff. And on the other court, there was all the senior guys, and they'd just come in numbers. There'd be heaps of people there, and I'd be on one court, but always looking over to the other, wanting to try and once we finished here, to try and get a call up to go on to the other court.
Yeah, it sounded fantastic. Now, just while Louise Savage has a message for you there, we've seen what Louise can do as a wheelchair track and road racer, but you mentioned that you've done both. What's Louise like as a wheelchair basketballer?
Well, she did play wheelchair basketball with my women's league team for quite a number of years, the Stacks Good Camp Bears, and she didn't like the ball very much, which was quite funny. But she was a very good picker, and she also helped me a lot with my personal training. She'd come to training earlier, and I'd be there early doing extra shooting session, and she'd be my rebounder. So she's a super great friend of mine, but also a huge supporter of mine too. So.
Well, I will offer Louise a right of reply if she wants to make a comment about your ability as a wheelchair racer then in return too. So we'll wait to hear from Lou about that. Kylie, you spoke about Jerry Hewson. Only on Tuesday did I learn, and many of us learned, the role that Jerry played in Kurt Fernley's history as well, having gone to Kurt's school with our roadshow program back in the day. Jerry appears to have had a huge impact on so many athletes in our community. It must be difficult to sum up the role that he's played for you, but can you give us a sense of how important Jerry Hewson has been in your development as an athlete?
Oh, huge. Absolute massive part of my career. I like to do the little things, and Jerry was a massive influence on those. He would say, from little things, big things grow. And his other saying is, don't be scared to ask. People may say yes. So he was with me from the beginning till the end, really. We would do one-on-one sessions. We'd hit the gym together. Yeah, just huge. And not like also a influence to me off the basketball court as well, away from basketball. So we're still really good friends, and he's a huge part of my life. So I definitely wouldn't be the athlete that I am without all his commitment towards me, that's for sure.
I imagine there's many people that would say that about Jerry Houston. Of course, Jerry was inducted into the Basketball New South Wales Hall of Fame just towards the end of last year.
I was lucky enough to be there on the night, so that was really nice.
Yeah, what a huge figure in our history, and a great person to get to know and understand what sort of contribution Jerry's made to our whole community, and as you say, particularly in your career. When I first started, Kylie, with Wheelchair Sports New South Wales, a bunch of people were talking to me about the sorts of athletes I'd encounter. And one of the common themes was, you must see this Kylie Gauci get around a court. I hadn't seen a lot of wheelchair basketball prior to joining the organisation. And again, as I say, people were just saying, get out and see a game and watch her speed. Did you have that speed from word go? Were you fast as soon as you sat in a chair and got around, or is that something you've really worked on?
I think I've definitely got a natural ability with the speed, but I have worked on it. But I think a lot of it is my natural ability, which I'm really lucky to have. And I think just being in a wheelchair since, a really young age, I'm so used to it, and just the agility that I have in it, and just the chair skills you learn along the way. But the speed, you get to a point, I think, where natural ability comes to a point, but then you have to work on it as well. I definitely have worked on it a bit more later in my career, but I suppose it's just an asset that I'm lucky to have.
And I've done some reading about you as well, and I've seen you play, and you play with it with tenacity. Really, there's a real fire to the way that you play the game. Is competitiveness, would you describe yourself as a competitive person? And if so, where did that come from for you? Did you inherit that, or is that yours to yourself?
I've got two older brothers, so I think I have a bit of competitiveness from them. But I just don't like to lose, to be honest, and want to be the best that I can be whenever I'm out on court. So I think otherwise, what's the point of doing it?
And so, in keeping with that, Di says, Kamikaze Kylie, such a pocket rocket champion. Greetings from Di and John. So is that a nickname you're comfortable with, Kamikaze Kylie?
Oh, I'll take it. I have lots of nicknames in wheelchair basketball. So, but Di and John are great supporters of wheelchair sports and of myself. They come to a lot of the games, and they're two beautiful people.
They certainly are. Are there any other nicknames then you want to share with us tonight?
Oh, I've got Pocket Rocket, the Gouch. Oh, they're two just I can pull off the top of my head. But, I get called Kylie, Kyles, just a whole range of things.
Apparently Bloody Animal too there from Rebecca Robertson. So
hey,
another
Beck.
one to add to the list.
She was on my first junior wheelchair basketball team. We went to the 1997 Junior Nationals in Ballarat, and Kurt was also on our team.
There you go. Yeah. Well, a shout out to Rebecca there, and everyone that's watching on. I see that Jerry Houston is online with us there as well, which is great, and we give our regards there to Jerry. And I imagine your family's watching on. Are they, Kylie, upstairs, downstairs? Where are they?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm just downstairs in the computer room, but I hope they're watching. Hello to my family.
Indeed. Hello to the Gauchis as well. Hey, it's remiss of me not to ask about football, for no other reason that the Eels are playing tonight, and let's hope we get over the Broncos, which is irrelevant. But I saw somewhere that you're a supporter of both Penrith and the Sydney Roosters, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Can you help us understand that, please?
Okay, so I was always a Penrith fan, but I'm a massive fan of Brad Fittler. So when he moved from Penrith to the Roosters, then I went and followed the Roosters. But since then, I'm now back as a Penrith supporter.
Gotcha. Okay. And we found out on Tuesday Kurt's a Penrith supporter as well. So it's great to know there's two people out there that support
Yes,
the Penrith.
that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Too.
Of course. I understand your mum's a big Penrith supporter.
Huge fan. She loves it. She's missing it a lot, that's for sure.
I'm sure. Well, footy's back tonight. Now, Kylie, you're a member now these days of the Blues Wheelchair Basketball Club, and people comes to mind: Troy Sachs, Chris Riley, the Pellos. There's a real legacy, I think, being built out there, and a real club mentality there. What do you see? How do you see the Blues developing over the next few years? You're obviously a really experienced member of that team. What would you like to achieve with the Blues?
Oh, definitely win another women's league, that's for sure, and see the men get to a final series and just show what potential we have as a team. What I really like about the Blues Club is we're all together. We don't have our women's league and our men's league. We all train together and put all the hard work in together. So it's a really nice team atmosphere. And Troy and Chris do a great job off the court, that's for sure. I definitely know how much work is involved off the court. So I take my hat off to them for all that because it's a huge amount of time.
I wonder, just listening to what you said earlier about the Thursday nights at Kevin Betts and that sort of spirit, whether that's part of what you're trying to create at the Blues with the guys and the girls all playing together and that sense of camaraderie.
Yeah, it's a little bit different though. We're more of on the training aspect side of things, whereas the Thursday night was just a whole night of scrimmage and a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about this message that's on screen there. We tried to have him blocked, but
Come on, BT, what are you doing?
As BT talking about the Roosters again. But we've got some people going, go the Bunnies there. There's all sorts of things happening there, but nonetheless, I'm interested, Kylie, you've been around the sport for such a long time. As I mentioned earlier, 17 years in the national team, and you've seen different models of wheelchair basketball around the world, and you've seen it grow over time here in Australia and more specifically New South Wales. How do we grow the sport of wheelchair basketball in New South Wales? Have you got any ideas for us?
I think it's just getting it out there to people that you don't have to have a disability to play. That's one thing. And if they get to come and have a go, they'll see how much fun it is. It's just getting the people there to have a go and get them involved in the team atmosphere.
Yeah,
and then,
too right.
I think it's maybe we've got to introduce more funner events around the place. Just to kind of bring people in and show how much fun it can be. And then if they really want to take it seriously, then, there is pathways to avenues that they can play in National League and Women's League and different things like that. Or if they just want to play socially, there's something there for them.
Yeah, great. All right, now David Krantz, our head of sport, is watching on. Can I send him up to Rudy Hill to have a cuppa with you and pick your brain for some ideas?
Sure.
Great. We'll do that. We want to say hello to Sandra Russell. Sandra's watching on from Lyndhurst in the central west of New South Wales. Sandra and her husband run some successful businesses out there in regional New South Wales and have been supporters of ours and friends of our organisation, particularly Di and John Pass, for a long time. So we say good day to Sandra as well and everyone watching throughout regional New South Wales tonight on Rolling Conversations. Kylie, tell us about, and we'll get a few questions shortly from the folks out there watching on. Tell us about your biggest rivals. I'd love to hear about those people that you've gone head-to-head with over the years, either within, the Women's National Wheelchair Basketball League or internationally. Who are those players that you've really jousted with through the time?
Oh, there's a huge amount of players. Like we definitely had a lot of games against the US. In 2004, we met the US in the final. We upset them in the very first game of the Paralympics by 1 point. We smashed them. That was a huge upset. No one ever saw that coming, which then set us up to meet them again in the gold medal game, which unfortunately didn't go our way. But and then later years we met Germany a lot. They've come through really well. And I suppose in my points, Christina Rip was a huge amount, a great player from the USA. In Australia, there was likes of Lisa Edmonds. Donna Ritchie was huge. I was a little bit scared of Donna, to be honest. Yeah, like Jane Sachs, Liesl Tesh, Sarah Stewart. She was around for a lot of my career, not in the early days, but she competed in 3 of the Paralympics with myself. And then you got Shelley Chaplin, Bridie Keane. There's a huge amount of players that have been around for ages, and when you play against them so much, I know I can just hop on the court with Liesl and still know where each of us are going to be, or where each of us want the ball. Like, it's just because we've played so much together, it's just natural.
So many great names in there, aren't there? We're very lucky in a country like Australia, and particularly New South Wales, to produce so many great players, of which you're certainly one. Jess asked about your favourite ISO activity. So what have you been up to in isolation?
I've been going on the rowing machine a few times a week, and in the later weeks I've been going on some pushes. I like to go on the M7 cycleway, and I go on there. I've been doing that for a lot of my career, to be honest. I'd go on there and do a 40-minute push. I like the aerobic side of keeping fit in basketball, that's for sure. I enjoy getting out and about and in the gym and that type of stuff.
Yeah, great to hear you've been keeping it up. Hey, we've got a message there from Tanya Lee, who's Warwick Holmes's mother, but also her daughter came along to the Her Sports night, as Tanya did, and she was having a go at basketball. Says she was horrible, but you kept telling her to keep going and having fun. And
I do remember meeting Tanya. Hi, Tanya.
Yeah, so Tanya's watching on, I presume, from Bathurst tonight, and suggests that you're a lovely person and passionate about your sport, which we certainly agree with. So g'day, Tanya, and the whole family out there in Bathurst.
I'm sure Bathurst would be a bit cold now.
I reckon it would be. Hey, while we're waiting for another question, you were born on the 1st of January. So I've always wanted to know, if you're born on the 1st of January, do you just get one present?
What do you mean, like Christmas and my birthday? No.
People go, oh, here's a joint present for both. And
you know what I get, though? I get Happy New Year, Happy Birthday.
Yeah, right.
Which is really annoying. So it's not really the Christmas and the birthday. It's the New Year and the birthday.
Of course. Yeah. Well, we put a bit of fireworks on for your birthday each year, which is nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
David asks, have you met Freddie? So he's asking about Brad Fittler there, of course. Have you met him?
Yeah, I have. I was actually quite sick in early 2005, and Brad Fittler came to my house for a visit when he was still with Penrith. So I think that's kind of where I started my, I don't know, my favoritism towards him, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's having him at your place is pretty cool. Now, Sarah Stewart always says it's always awesome training and playing with you, a champion athlete and a super talented player. Do you have a favourite memory or memories of the Paralympics on or off the court? Now, it's a good question because I have seen some pictures of you on tour dressed up in all sorts of different gear. So this will be an interesting answer, I reckon.
The Paralympics are all special within themselves. Obviously, Athens being my first was huge. Beijing was interesting. Looking back on that. And London was great. I think London I had the most fun. The favourite moment, I do remember a moment in the medal ceremony in London when I played quite well, I think, and the roar from the crowd when I got my medal was quite loud. So that was, just a really nice moment there. As a team aspect, there's just so many little things that you don't think of at the time, but like I got a memory on my phone from Facebook the other day with Bridie Keane from Queensland, and we just got to London and both of us had a photo in the telephone box. So just little things like that you don't you don't remember, but at the time you don't think it's a big thing, but then when you look at it you think, oh, that was really nice. And as the dressing up type of things there, as the gliders, we have a tradition of the Goldies. So at a big event, more so heading into a World Championships, we'd normally have like a pre-tournament and then we'd have a few days layover and then we'd head into the World Cup. And in that time, we'd have a Goldies night. So you had to dress up in all gold and we'd just have a lot of fun and it would just be hilarious.
I imagine any team with Liesl Tesh would have a bit of fun on tour. There's something tells me she'd be a reasonably fun person to tour with.
Yeah, absolutely. I call Liesl and I roomed together for a little bit in our career, so we call each other roomies. And we still call each other roomies to this day. So she did send me a text earlier saying she's hoping to catch the end of our chat tonight. So, yeah.
Right. Well, we'll see if we see her online. And we've got a question here from Noah who says, who inspired you to play basketball?
This is my cousin's little boy here. I'm glad you didn't try to pronounce my cousin's last name.
You noticed I sidestepped that.
Yeah, you did. You did a very good job of that. Noah, I don't really know who inspired me to play basketball. I just tried it out and enjoyed the atmosphere of playing as a team. And I think the other thing that really got me hooked was the different skills that I had to have to play wheelchair basketball. You've got your chair, the ball, players, like you always, players give you something, but they take something else away. So you have to be able to react really quickly. And I was just lucky enough to be able to play it well.
Well, you certainly do that. And as I said at the start, when I first joined the organisation, people said you got to get out and watch Kylie in a chair and the way that she plays the game. And I did that. I came out to see you at Sydney University and get around, and it was as exciting as everyone said it was. We had a message there from Kurt's watching on, says the Gauch, the legend.
Kurt.
So, g'day, Kurt.
He's much more of a legend than I am, but I'll take that. Thank you, Kurt.
There you go. Hey, Tanya asked about if you didn't play basketball, what would you choose? I presume we're talking about a sport.
Well, it's a very good question. As I said, I did a bit of athletics, wheelchair track and road, which I did enjoy. But I decided that when I made an Australian team for basketball, that I gave up the wheelchair track and road because it was just too hard to maintain a high level of training for both. And I think that's something that I always prided myself on, was training hard and putting in so much time and effort into the things. I always did more than I needed to, which maybe sometimes detrimented me, but that's just how I am as an athlete. So maybe tennis. I don't know. I wouldn't go much further than tennis. Maybe I did contemplate weightlifting.
Okay.
Because I'm quite a strong athlete, so I did bench press quite well. But yeah.
Well, I know that Todd from our sports team is watching on tonight and is a huge advocate and very passionate about our para-powerlifting program. So he's jotted your name down as we speak, and you'll be getting a phone call tomorrow. Hey, Simon asks a very good question here, is do you build any Lego as well, as all Wheelchair Sports New South Wales members are interested in Lego now? That is a good point. Are you a Lego fan too?
No. My nephew is a very big Lego fan. But I'm not so much. Sorry to disappoint.
Fair enough.
I'm not a Sarah Stewart, that's for sure.
Yeah, she's a machine with a Lego. Hey, Betsy says, what sorts of things kept you motivated following shoulder injury? Now, that for those that don't know, then did you have a significant shoulder injury through your career?
Yeah, absolutely. In 2016, I had a incident on the court, and not my fault, and resulted in I had a massive shoulder reconstruction, which put me out for. I didn't play for over a year. That was a hard time, but I've got through it thanks to my family's support. That's for sure. And being a wheelchair user and having your arm in a sling for 3 months is not ideal.
Yeah,
But
wow.
coming out of it, I suppose my motivation was I didn't want to kind of be determined by my shoulder. It does stop me. It doesn't like a lot of shooting practice anymore, that's for sure. But I can still play fine, and I was really looking forward to playing this season because I felt a lot better than I did last year. But with the whole COVID-19 thing, I don't know when we will play.
Well, we're working hard to get back on the court as soon as we can, for sure, and we're looking forward to seeing you play. Now, I feel this is a leading question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. Chris Riley asks, but who's your favourite manager?
Of course, yourself, Chris Riley. Come on.
So Chris, of course, is involved with the Blues Club and also the wheelchair basketball juniors, of course, that compete every year at the Nationals as well. So I imagine
Chris does an amazing job off the court. Like, she supplies us with, she goes to the Coles, Woolies, whatever we want. You know, like, she will make whatever we ask for dinner. Like, she's awesome, and she's always there for a chat if you ever need support on when we're away on the weekends or on a tour. She's she's a really great person, and wheelchair sports and the Blues Wheelchair Basketball Club are very grateful to have Chris around, that's for sure.
Here, absolutely. Pat asks a good question. G'day, Kylie. Have you had much experience with 3x3 wheelchair basketball, and do you think it will take off?
I'm a little bit of a skeptic about this 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball. I haven't, obviously in training, you know, you do 3-on-3 type drills, but I haven't played a game as such in the whole 3-on-3 setup. So I can't really comment too much about that. I don't see it going off, but it seems pretty popular around. So we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. Now, I saw a comment from Louise Savage earlier saying that you were both an excellent wheelchair basketball and on track and road. So she's backed you up there, as a good friend does.
Yes.
And also, I noticed there that Tanya up in Bathurst said it's absolutely freezing. So we are right, or you were right, to suggest that our friends watching in from Bathurst and probably anywhere around regional New South Wales are probably feeling the chill tonight. We've got a final question here, or we might have time for one more, but this is, do you have a favourite opponent, someone you always wanted to beat and get the better of? So you've got one here. You can't sit on the fence. The number one opponent.
Ooh. I'm trying to think now. Do I go internationally or do I go nationally?
Well, let's make it fun. Let's make it national so that then we can develop a rivalry and we all can go watch you play.
Oh, definitely. Like, someone that just comes to mind is Katie Hill. Now she's on the Sydney Uni team. Whenever we hit the floor together, we just go at each other, which is fun. And I did juniors with Katie. She was my roomie in juniors. So that was really fun. Yeah, I think internationally I'd probably go Christina Ripp or one of the German players. She's a 1-5 though. So with my classification being a 2, I don't really have there's not a lot of 2s around to specifically pick one in my points category as such.
You mentioned, though, that you've been roomies with Liesl Tesh for many tours and all the rest of it, but you guys play on opposing sides, don't you, of course, in the WNWBL. Do you go easy on Liesl or do you rip into her?
No, I rip into her.
Nice.
I'm not going to be nice to her. She's against me. But again, it's tougher because we each know each other's game so well. So it definitely brings another level. And I suppose, as you know, if you, I'm not sure if you play much sport, but when you play, like when we play Sydney Uni, I just want to beat them because it's so much rivalry between us. And, there's a bit of chitter chat from Alan Cox on the bench in my ears. So I played under Alan under the Sydney Comets. So, yeah, again, there's just a lot of people around that you play a lot of time, you spend a lot of time with. And when you're on the opposite side, it gets a bit interesting.
It certainly does. Hey, we run out of time, sadly, but I loved talking to you. We've got a message there from the Rev saying g'day.
Hey,
and
Rev.
of course, so obviously a huge amount of love for you in our community. Lots of great messages of support. It's really great to see you looking well. As you mentioned earlier, we do want to get back rolling as soon as possible so we can see you out there doing your stuff. So thanks for giving us the time to be part of Rolling Conversations tonight. Next week we have Richard Cordukes going to feature on Rolling Conversations. So I'm investing in a bleep button to take out all swear words, but he assures me he won't be swearing. And then we're working on perhaps next Thursday having Lauren Parker, who's the reigning world champion para-triathlete as well. So it could be a really exciting week for us next week on Rolling Conversations. But Kylie, thank you for being a part of it tonight, and it's great to see you looking so well.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for everyone watching on, and we'll see you on Rolling Conversations next Tuesday, 5 o'clock. See you later, everyone.
Bye.